Today we are here to talk about the Den of Thieves, all right? So just chill out. Got that coming up for you real quick. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. And I am outside of Planet Fitness. Saturdays, I like to get up in the morning early and work out because honestly, working out during the week after driving a truck takes a lot out of you. So it's like driving a truck for 12, 13 hours or 10 hours or whatever the hours it may be, then trying to come to go work out after that, it's kind of a drag. So I like to get up early on a Saturday and do it. Personally, that's just my fit, right? Now, as far as the title, Den of Thieves, right? It's just me really playing off a movie. Like, there's a movie called Den of Thieves that's like starring 50 Cent and a bunch of other guys and shit. They're pretty much robbing banks, all right? But my concept of it is just, Den of Thieves is just my way of titling society as a whole as I've come to see it, especially within the last 2 months. In a perfect world, right? Everybody would have good credit. No one would owe no any type of debt. You know, no one would cheat. There would be no robberies. There would be no murders. There would be no assaults. There would be no theft. Everybody would be friends. Like, realistically speaking. Like, well, not realistically speaking. Like, I'm saying, like, if it were like, basically the way I'm rapping it, if it was the world that TV tried to portray it, meaning like, okay, when you watch people on these podcasts a lot of times, right? People, when I hear men, women talk from these podcasts, the main thing I get out of it is just a bunch of people speaking to their advantage. When women talk on these podcasts, they're usually talking about having a guy, you know, that lets them go out any kind of, you know, and let them dress any kind of way, let them, you know, carry themselves however they want, let them be rude, don't have no type of structure, you know, just act on pure feeling and, oh, I feel like, you know, acting this way, I want to be a bitch and I want to be rude. I also want a millionaire, and I also want him to commit to me, and I also want him to give me all his money whenever I ask for it. I also want 3 kids, but I don't want to be the one to watch the 3 kids. I kind of want a nanny, you know what I mean? And then dudes on the other hand are like, oh, I want, you know, a wife that lets me have 6 side chicks, and I want to be a millionaire, and I want to travel, and I also want my wife to not talk to me, but at the same time not talk to me, and, you know, I want her to not have an opinion. And that's not realistic. Like, truth is, this world, if you had to ask me personally, right, it's very twisted and corrupt, right? The government is not here for you. The government doesn't care about you. These police officers, a lot of times when they stop and do like traffic, you know, stops, they're doing that to meet a quota. Like, motherfuckers are not trying to look out for you for real. They're just doing a job. Like, it's the same thing like if you go into a hospital, right? Most of the nurses don't really give a fuck about their patients like that. Like, I've had that happen to my grandma when she was in, what was it? When she was in a home or whatever, them people didn't give a fuck about her like that. Like, they did their job, but I'm saying, like, it wasn't like no real empathy because it wasn't their family. The typical thing they tell most Americans to do is graduate from school, go to college, get a good job, start a family, right? It goes, we're all on this preordained track of life to some extent. Like, not saying everybody literally goes about it this way, but I'm saying, like, the thing that's told to you to do, like, okay, somehow me and my sister ended up on the conversation about college, right? And my sister's done jobs where she worked at Title Max. You know, she had, I can't remember the jobs, all the jobs my sister worked, but I remember her working at Title Max. But I know my sister's been to college before. You know, she wanted to go to the military, but she couldn't because she has a heart condition. But they tell you to go to college to get a degree, and you're going to get out and make all this money and be a productive member of society. That's not how it actually goes. A lot of times you go in, you get a degree, and the way this fucking job market is set up is, if your degree, let's say you get a master's in technology or something like that, let's just say hypothetically speaking, these people they don't really want to hire you because they have to pay you a certain amount of money based off that degree. All right, but so since you have a master's degree, they're not going to let you work Like, you can't actually do anything with the motherfucking degree that you spent 6 years on. Like, shit like that. Like, you literally can't work this job because they have to pay you a certain amount of money, and companies don't want to pay you all that. I remember doing a ride along with my dispatch one, like, might have been 2-3 weeks ago, and me and him were real close. We're real cool people. And, the conversation, it led into, he was like, look, I'm going to just be honest with you. They want y'all to make money, but they don't want y'all to make too much money. And I would just think to myself, like, damn, wouldn't that make more sense if you run more trailers and did more loads, you make more money, it's better for the company. Nah, motherfuckers are trying to cut you at the knees. They want you to make money, but they don't want to actually pay you. Like, me and my homeboy used to go through the same shit in the nuclear plant. Like, especially being black. Like, no, I wouldn't even call it like a black thing. They have a circle. Nuclear work is all politics. Like, a lot of it is a lot of politics. Like, it doesn't matter how good you decon. It doesn't matter how good you clean. All that shit is about who the fuck you know and how cool you are with these people. And some of these jobs, like, let's say, like, I don't know, you're a crane operator at the plant, and there's a bunch of crane operators at that plant. Those crane operators are clicked up, just in the say of the example, right? All those crane operators are clicked up. They're not trying to let nobody in their circle that's new. Like, you would think a person that wants to be an up-and-coming crane operator would get next to other crane operators to learn the craft. Nah, motherfuckers are selfish as fuck, and they're not trying to let you in. They want to keep the money to themselves. They want to keep the money to their family. Like, okay, what I mean is, you could be a person that's overqualified for the job, and they won't fuck with you, and they'll give that job to their nephew. Nepotism. Like, they won't fuck with you like that because they'd rather look out for their own. And that's the point that I guess I've come to lately. Like, everybody, and I mean this as a whole, right? Everybody's just out for themselves. No one is giving a fuck about anything outside of their shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll even take it back to when someone I knew for 10 years sucker punched me. Like, coming from a street-ish kind of culture, I would say, out of the whole bunch of everybody I know, I came out the straightest. Meaning, like, my cousin sold drugs, my sister sold drugs, my other cousin sold drugs, my other cousin's in prison for armed robbery. Like, that's the circle of people that are the closest to me. Like, my homeboy, my sister, my cousin, even the cousin I don't fuck with, most of my family members are trap niggas. Like, most of my family is drug dealers. Because you really, in a place like Hazers, right? It's a very small town. So it's very hard to get anywhere. But anyway, I'm taking you off the track. So, the dude I knew, my baby mama's nephew, knew him for 10 years. Look, I've given this kid money. I've put food in the house when his mother didn't want to be there to take care of him because she wanted to go party with some man. There would be weekends I came home from, working, and I would just, I would come home, it'd be my daughter, it'd be him, it'd be his sister, and my baby mama, and my baby mama's mama would be gone to work. So I'm coming in, it's 4 or 5 people in the house, and there ain't no food in the fridge. So I gotta take my check and take $200-300 and go grocery shopping for other people. 2 of these people are not my responsibility. Like, and he was one of the 2. Now, fast forward 10 years, me and my child's mother keep getting into altercations because she's on bullshit. And even before we got to this point where he did the bullshit that he did, just trying to, before all this fighting shit kicked off, I tried to talk to motherfuckers like adults. Hey, this is becoming an issue with me and her. This is becoming a problem with me and her. She's doing this. Like, I would appreciate it if someone on your side talked to her. Look, let me just sidetrack for like a second. When you date a motherfucker, right? Just for me to you, don't take into account how important family is. Because the family that motherfucker come from is going to be where a lot of your drama may stem from. You know what I mean? I never really thought much on family when you dating a person. You just fucking, you having fun, you're going out, you're just in a relationship with them, You don't think nothing of it. But when you get into the meat and potatoes of this shit, and you find out that a bitch mama ratchet, you find out that a bitch daddy crazy, he in jail for 10 years for stabbing a nigga. You got, she got crazy ass brothers that all sell drugs, and this is most black communities. Like, not even black communities, this is most hood communities anyway. But to segue back into the story, I tried to do the best that I could to even talk to her, to reason, to come to a middle ground. And this is why I'm such a fan. Like, this is why I'm one of the kind of people, I don't forgive people like easy. Because motherfuckers consciously make the choices that they make. All right? If a motherfucker fucked you over, they wanted to do it. If a motherfucker cheated on you, they wanted to do it. If a nigga steals off on you after feeding him for 10 years or putting money in his pocket and you think that they cool or whatever the case may be, and granted, I played my role in it too because me and her kept having these arguments, but the point I'm making is this. You would think the street, like, as much as niggas talk about being gangster and street and I'm a real nigga and all this other shit, you would think a motherfucker would give you a chance to square up. But in real life, that street shit don't go like that. If a dude is, let's say you and a dude are to get into a fight or whatever the case may be, and he tells you to meet him somewhere, it's not gonna be a one-on-one situation. Like, I don't care what a motherfucker tell you or how good they make it sound. Oh yeah, just meet me at the park. We gonna just run our little fade and be done with it. That's not how street shit work. You come to that park by yourself and you don't have no type of backup, you gonna get jumped by about 6 niggas. And if you get jumped by about 6 niggas and that's all they did to you, you had a good day. But what I'm saying is, motherfuckers are corrupt as fuck. Like, this whole system, this whole hierarchy, everything, life, society, these companies, all of it's fucked. All of it is fucked. And I have just now reached the point where, I'm an honorable man. I really am. I consider myself really big on honor. I consider myself being really big on integrity. But at some point in your life, you're going to have to stick your hands in the mud. Like, okay, when my homeboy's dad retired, right? Or stepdad, I should say, right? My homeboy Huggy. He told me his stepdad had to wait 4 years for his disability. Imagine, right? You start working at 16, 17, whatever age you start at, right? You work until you, I don't know what that age they give you, 65, right? To get your Social Security or whatever the case may be. You get your Social Security, right? You have to wait for 4 years. And I mean, you can't work, can't do shit. You gotta just chill. Hey, you gotta chill and wait on your disability. And even when you get it, it's not enough. Like, me and my homeboy always have this discussion. Disability is probably not gonna be around by the time we get to that point. Like, by the time most motherfuckers get to the point where we can actually file disability, and I mean within the next 30 years, because I'm 34, he's 34, my cousin's 35. Like, by the time we get there, it probably won't be no disability. Like, in black families, a lot of times, like, motherfuckers don't leave you no assets, they leave you debt. Like, if my dad was to die tomorrow, I would be dealing with a bunch of his debt. Like, if my dad was to die tomorrow, me, my cousin, and my sister would have to find a way to pay for the funeral to bury his motherfucking black ass. Like, and I'm not saying white families don't go through the same thing. I'm just saying it from the perspective that I relate to the most. But no, bro, like, you would think a motherfucker that worked hard to get his pension, like, to get his disability, his retirement benefits, like, you would think, like, they wouldn't give you all this trouble getting your shit that you earned. But no, society is not wired like that. These folks that work in these social jobs, the DMVs, the police officers, these folks don't give a fuck about none of that shit you're talking about. Like, okay, say you get divorced and go in divorce court. Let's say you're a man. Chances are you're getting the short end of the stick. Like, and that's because I would think, personally, I think most judges are somewhat feminist. Like, okay, even if you make a law a certain kind of way, judges are going to judge based off how they feel, right? That's another story for another time. But what I'm saying is, a lot of this life shit ain't fair. A lot of people you meet are corrupt as fuck or twisted in some sort of way. I'm not saying, I think we're all just trying to make it. I really do believe that. But on the other hand, the means in which you get to that point, like, okay, take someone like Jay-Z, for example. Jay-Z's a multi-millionaire, billionaire type nigga, right? But Jay-Z probably had to do a bunch of fucked up shit to get to that point. The point is that the thing I'm learning as of late, right? I say within the last month or two is that you really can't play fair with people. Like, you can't be straight up. Like, I would just love personally to get into a fight where a motherfucker, straight up with you and, win, lose, or draw. I could take the loss if I lost clean. It's when a motherfucker play underhanded that really get to me. Like, but the older I'm becoming, the more I'm getting to understand that folks are just naturally gonna play to their advantage, and they don't give a fuck what line they're gonna cross to get to that point. Listen, as silly as it sounds, right? Me and my girlfriend went to watch Transformers the other day, right? And I couldn't help but notice the sign, don't bring your own drinks and food in. Now, maybe that's not a big deal to most people, but to me, it just made me think, and I was just like, you know what? Some of this shit be highway robbery. Even something as small as a movie theater, right? Look, I think I paid about $27 for a thing of nachos, a big fucking bottle of Coke. No, it was a big fucking cup of Coke. No, it was, It was, her pretzels, which was like $7. A big cup of Coke, which was another $7. And my little basket of nachos, which was another $7. And I just got to thinking to myself, like, damn, these motherfuckers really don't want you, like, like, eating your own shit in the theater. Like, because theater food is too expensive. Like, and I just think, like, okay, as silly as it sounds, it ain't nothing but very shrewd business. It's very cutthroat business. Motherfuckers don't want you bringing none of your shit because it takes away from money in their pocket. Like, they can't overcharge you if you bring your own shit. And it's like, I know that seems kind of obvious, but to me, it just feels very fucked up, and I dislike it. And another one, right? And this one's a bit of a doozy. There are motherfucking women, and I hate saying this shit. Well, actually, I don't give a damn, really. There are women that will actually accuse men of false rape. You know how demented you gotta be to accuse a man of false rape? Like, okay. Now, again, I don't like using that term. I don't even like saying the word. I usually use the word assault. But accusing a man of false assault, as I should say, right? You know how demented you got to be to accuse a man of false assault? Like, because you were angry and upset at the time, you gonna lie and say a nigga touched you. Like, you're gonna lie. Like, okay, look, I get women to some degree have to be manipulative because they can't physically beat a man, but to unravel a man's life all simply off the strength because you felt uncomfortable, like, okay, you get drunk, you have sex with a dude, you wake up that next morning, you feel funny about it because you made the decision to do so based on how drunk you were, and you accuse this dude of false assault, and that trunk keeps trying to open itself, but you accuse this dude of false assault. Like, the nastiness and underhandedness of it, like, you gotta think, bro, like, a motherfucker gotta register himself as a sexual predator. You can't come within like 2-3 miles of a school. Like, you cut off from getting certain jobs, all because a motherfucker felt like lying that day. Like the madness that takes to pull off something like that. Like, and again, I think the other half of it that really upsets me is that there are really women that really get beaten on and assaulted in real life. And there are girls out here just accusing men of assault just because they were upset. Like, stuff like that really turns my stomach. Like, oh, God. Like, I have a girlfriend. I have a mother. I have a sister. I got 2 sisters. I got a niece. I got female cousins. Like, point aside, look, personally, if you're asking me, I feel like the world as a whole is fucked up. I just wanted to talk about it because it's one of those things lately. I mean, I kind of always knew, but the extent to which I'm finding out how fucked up, because I mean, I got a cousin that does like fuck shit, and he has always been a little bit ahead of me in life. So his whole perspective is like, he was the first one that was like I remember him being like a dog ass dude when we first started talking to women, and he always said this line to me that always fucked me up. Like, I might have been like 17, but I never forget it. And we 34 now. He was like, cuz, you gotta treat these girls like the ground you walk on. I used to be like, what? Why? Like, what? Like, but he was so like far ahead of his time. Like, cause he was dating girls before I had started like doing anything. And granted, I'm not like that to that extent. But seeing how corrupt motherfuckers move in this world, you have to be willing to play dirty with the motherfuckers that are playing dirty with you. And I guess that's what he was really saying. like even my dad, when I think back to my dad, right? My dad used to give me some of the most foul, toxic advice, right? Because I was going through things with my child's mother. And I remember him saying to me, you want some of these problems with you and her to stop, you got to stop giving a fuck about that kid. And I was just like, what? Like, but the older I've gotten, the more I understand where these guys were coming from. My dad is 60, 59 or 60, because he done lie about his age on his ID, so I don't even know. But imagine the amount of experience you have to be able to dish out the advice of telling the motherfucker to not give a fuck about their kid in order to get from under a situation. Like, okay, I came up my mother's house being like, wanting to be a nice guy, wanting to be a good guy, wanting to be kind to women, all right? That was my start. The longer I kept living, the more shit I kept doing, the more fucked up I found out shit was. The more I fucked around, the more I found out. Like, but just the thought of my dad telling me to not care about my kid, like, I couldn't picture, like, okay, it'd be different if it was a son. You know, your son be all right. Not caring about your daughter? You know how cold-blooded you gotta be to not care about your daughter? Hey, it's one of those things that fuck me up. But to wrap all this up in a bow, I do personally feel like the world as a whole is fucked up. It's not even just, I just think it was just a few people, or maybe like 30% of people are fucked up. You got people that commit crimes. No, even the people you think are good people are bad people. You ain't done nothing to make them become bad people or act like bad people. So with that being said, I'm gonna go work out and live my life. Y'all live y'all's. This is just one of the ones that just lately on the last 2 months I have been thinking about. Like, me and my cousin have been talking a lot, and I've come to understand in reality how fucked shit really is. So I'm gonna go enjoy my day. You enjoy yours.